the Dk Tahg, a weapon of a Klingon warrior, feared the galaxy over it as both a weapon and a symbol of honor by all who wield it. Consisting of a large central double-edged blade and two retractable side blades, a Dk Tahg also bears a symbol of a Klingon's house. It is not only a weapon but a ritualistic item used throughout the Klingon Empire for various events of life as well as death. Now we will make a Dk Tahg so that you too may blaze your path of honor and enter Core. Hi everyone and welcome back. It's been a while since I last posted, and that's because I bought a 3D printer because I got tired of paying outrageous prices for a little piece of plastic that breaks on various tools and whatever around the house, and I decided, okay, I'm going to try and make them myself, and that's been working out pretty good so far. I've learned how to use a thing, and I've actually made a few parts that I needed. But now we're going to try and create the Klingon Dk Tahg knife from Star Trek, and I've always wanted one of these, and I found this online at printables.com. This gentleman, Unimatrix Red, that created it, uh, he did a really great job on it. I mean, it's very well engineered, and it looks great. I already built one previously just to get familiar with it, and now I'm building another one just to do this video. So you can come along with me and watch the whole build process, and hopefully, if you got a 3D printer, you'll be able to download it. He created this for free, so do the guy a favor, send him a couple bucks, send him $5 to say thank you for doing this. And again, he really engineered it great. I'm going to put a link below in the description to his page where you can download this in printables.com. And again, send the guy a couple bucks. I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. These are all the parts supplied by the gentleman after I downloaded the files. And I put them in what's called Orca Slicer. And the slicer is a tool you use to print out the parts that you want to print out. And it actually creates layers on the object, and that's where the head moves. And here you can see the head moving around and actually printing the parts. It's a pretty neat process. Here are all the parts after they've been printed, and they look pretty good. But there's still some cleanup we have to do, a lot of sanding because there are layer lines there. And next we're going to do some cleanup on them. There are splines that fit the handles and the blades together, so here I'm sanding them down to make sure they all fit. Since I'm going to use epoxy to hold them together, I don't trust super glue because I found that on plastic parts a lot of times the super glue will not hold particularly well. If I use 2-part epoxy on there, this thing's going to be solid as hell. So you're seeing me here tape up them to protect them from the epoxy, and I'm going to cut the tape to fit all the edges so I don't get any bleed over. And after everything is done, then I'm going to clamp them. I'm going to epoxy them, clamp them together, and let them dry overnight. And after that, I'll be able to break off the excess epoxy and start the finishing process on them. Here they are all taped up and ready for joining together with epoxy. Now I'm in my garage. There's the tripod for the camera. Sorry, that's in the frame. But now I'm going to mix up 2-part JB Weld epoxy, and I'm going to spread a thin layer across one side of both blades and put the splines in there. I had a little trouble with this for some reason. I guess I did sand down some of the splines all the way, and I had trouble getting them in there. So you're just going to see a bunch of goofing on here, but eventually I got them all together. After I get them all together, I'm going to clamp them between 2 pieces of wood to compress them so I get a good bond between each part. And I'm going to let that sit overnight. Okay, I let them dry overnight. And now we're going to break off the excess epoxy and untape them. Now it's just a matter of scraping off all the excess epoxy. This is a tedious process, and one that took quite a while, but we got there. I found that on the blade, I must not have clamped it right because there was a gap on the one side. It must have clamped unevenly, and I'm going to end up later on in the video filling that back in and fixing that. And now the fun part that took the longest time of all. Filing and sanding, filing and sanding, filing and sanding. I'm not going to bore you with this. I'm going to speed this up just like I did the other parts. But again, this is a long process and you've got to do it. If you skimp on this, then you're going to have a crappy looking product at the end. So this actually took me about 2 or 3 days to do. I'm not going to take you through all the parts, cleaning them all up. You get the general idea. So I'm just going to cut this off here. We're not going to see me filing and sanding all the parts. I dry fit parts of the handle together to get them smooth and flush with each other. Here I'm dry fitting all the parts together because you don't want to do that after you paint and whatnot, find out nothing fits. Now these holes, I guess either because of my printer or whatnot, just a little tight, and I couldn't get them on there, so I have to drill them out a little bit. Here I used a 7/32 drill bit, and I just got it snug. Now, later on in the video, you're going to find I have to do this over again because I wasn't thinking it should have been a little loose. What I should have done is used a 1/4 inch drill for these holes because once it's painted and everything else, I couldn't get them in all the way and there were gaps and it was causing me problems with the functioning of the blades and whatnot. I had to end up tearing everything out and drill the holes out again and then reassemble it to get it to fit right. Here I'm fitting the magnets that are actually going to give you the impression of the side blades being spring loaded. There's 3 magnets per side, and as the blade flips, the magnet on one side grabs onto the magnet that it's heading towards and it holds it in place. And it's, again, this gentleman really engineered this really well. So it takes 6 millimeter by 2 millimeter neodymium magnets. I got these dirt cheap, like, I don't know, like 80 of them online for like $5. And, that's pretty reasonable. But here I have to drill it out by hand. I don't want to use a power drill for this because it'll grab and then next thing you know, you're going all the way through. And I believe I used a 7/32 or 15/64 drill bit. You trial and error. You try it, you hand drill it out a little bit until you can get it to fit like you see me doing here, and that works. Here's the same thing. You see right here, you need to drill same size hole, but it's very, very thin right there. So you got to be extra, extra careful. I put my finger behind it. I'm not worried about cutting myself because I'm just going by feel. So I know when I'm pushing too hard and I don't want to push all the way through. There we go. And it fits. Awesome. I'll do it for both and move on from here. Now I'm going to epoxy in the neodymium magnets because they're sanded, the holes are fit right, and we're going to be moving on to the painting after this. Now, you have to watch. It takes 6 magnets, but remember, they're polarized. You got a north and a south, and if you accidentally have them facing the wrong way between the two parts, they'll repel each other instead of attracting each other. You see, talking about the attraction. So what I did here was I took 6 magnets and I marked one side with a marker so I know which way they go. And they these neodymium magnets are really strong, so they fought me the whole way. As you see, I'm going to be trying to mark each one, and the attraction so much it just jumped right back on there. It was kind of comical, actually. But I'm going to do this for all 6 magnets. Now I'm going to mix up some epoxy, and I'm going to seat them in the holes for each part. For the blade, I'm going to have it marker side up, and for the two small side blades, I'm going to have it marker side down so it's all oriented correctly. Now we don't want to paint over the magnets, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put tape over top of them, and I'm just going to cut around them and protect them. Okay, folks, here's all the parts handy ready for paint, and I don't want to bore you with all that, so I'm going to use some video magic. And there you go. Okay, time to take the tape off of the magnets. And now we're going to epoxy in the pivot posts for the two small side blades. Okay, this is where I ran into some problems. I'm doing the final assembly, and I'm using super glue to get everything in. Uh, but unfortunately, those holes on those parts right there, I didn't make them big enough, and it didn't fit in correctly. So once I got everything together, there was too much room, too much play in there, and the switch wouldn't work right. You see me here putting some lithium grease on there to help it slide better. And what I did is I tried to clamp them together with a pair of pliers and force it down, and it wasn't working. I couldn't keep it working right. I got it working at one point, but it just wasn't really cooperating with me. And you can see I'm going to come back later and I'm going to fix this. Now I'm going to put all the auxiliary parts on, it's all window dressing stuff here. And I'm just going to super glue them on. And I don't really need to use epoxy for that. Now that I got the pommel on, I'm going to add the grips. And the grips, as you'll see, I'm going to line them up. They are in graduated order. Some are smaller than the others, and it gets smaller as it goes down. The pommel, you see I'm out of order right there, but that's all right. I'll figure it out in a minute. And they're just going to slide on, and they're really tight fitting. There's no need to really epoxy them on, and then, if something should happen, they should fall over and get damaged. Well, I can always print out some new ones and, put the new ones on there. And there you go. You have a completed Dk Tahg. That's working there now, but it's going to take fits on me. And like I says, in a little bit, I'm going to be redoing this. Okay, we got a brand new looking knife here. It's nice and clean and pristine, and that's exactly what I don't want. I want this thing to look beaten, battered up, like it's been on some Klingon Warrior's belt for years. And I got this weathering kit, and I'm going to make it look beat up, battered, rusty, and whatnot. And that's why I'm not really worried about this thing getting beat up a little bit as I'm handling it, because that's only going to add to the authenticity look to it. And like I said before, I got to pop it open and fix the lever issue, and that's going to beat it up a little more, which works out for the better. What you do is what's called dry brushing, and you just add some on, you brush back and forth, and it catches on the edges. And you can blend it in here and there. That way, you know, you don't have this nice clean paint. It makes it dark in spots, lighter in others. And looks like the paint's worn off in some, depending on the color you use. Right now I'm putting the dirt on, and then I'm going to put silver on to make it look worn, and then I'm going to put rust on the blade. Now back to the lever problem. I found that the lever, if there's a little bit of play, the two nubs that you see at the top that jut out from the lever, they disengage with the little blades. So what I did is I brought the actual part into Tinkercad, and I extended the little nubs, and then I'm going to print a new one and use that in there. I made them longer than what I actually need so that I can cut them back once I get it in there, to where once I have the whole shell assembled around it, there's almost no play between the nubs and the outside shell, and that way there's no chance of the blades actually slipping off of the lever, and it'll keep the lever from rocking too. Okay, here it is after I fixed the lever, and once I had it assembled, I sprayed everything with a clear matte finish, and it actually made the brown a lot darker, almost like leather. So what I did was I sprayed some of the original spray paint on there, and I brushed it on all over the brown part to give it some shading in different areas, lighter in some, darker in some, and it really makes it look old and worn. And I really like that. So that came out pretty good. And like I said, the lever's fixed. I'm going to call this guy done. I just like playing with it. It is just so cool. And the rusting and pitting that I put on the blade, that actually looks good too. Ta-da! Now with the blade done, it's time to work on the stand. And one of the things that I wanted to add to the stand is the Klingon symbol. Now the stand didn't come with one, so I downloaded one from um, Thingiverse or printables.com. And sorry about the focus problems. This is a new overhead camera that I set up to see if I can try and get that to work, because I hate working around a tripod. And what I did is I printed it out, and I'm going to paint it with Tester's enamel paint because I want the nice glossy finish, just like an enamel pin. And this is where I'm painting it up. After that, I'm going to use enamel on the actual stand and get that done. And then what I'm going to end up doing is just epoxying this symbol to the base of the stand, because I think that's going to look really cool. And here I'm going to epoxy it with 5-minute epoxy right to the stand. Okay, here's some cameo shots of the finished product. I'm really happy with the way it came out. And again, I want it to look beat up. I want it to look scarred, scratched, like it's got Ferengi blood all over it. And I'm really, really happy with it. I see that little gap I put in there. I got to put some glue in there and clamp that down. Don't fry me for it. And here it is. I'm putting it on the shelf with my 12500 starships. Okay. I hope you all remember to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. This was a great project and it was a lot of fun. And to celebrate, we're going to sing a victory song.
Now,
Oi, you better remember to like and subscribe or I'm gonna kick your ass.